Hi there, and welcome on back to Travel Stitch Journal number 7. Here we are headed off into the Anza-Borrego Desert, which is off behind San Diego and below Palm Springs area. It is a vast, giant state park. It is the largest of our state parks at over 500,000 acres and more. You'll notice lots and lots of boulder rocks that had been rounded. This is because these used to be what was the Grand Canyon and filled the desert out here that was Baja, California. And when you're walking around, you definitely feel like you're walking on a beach. We are entering the desert towards the state park from the west. We're driving east-ish, southeast-ish right now. And off in the distance, the view was just magnificent. This is our first time to this park. I know as a kid, my dad had us in the camper and he took us out to the Salton Sea. But here it is off in the distance out beyond the desert in front of us. You see the Salton Sea off there. This 2-lane road was really quite nerve-wracking to drive our larger trailer down, and so my husband promised himself that he would not be exiting the state park by way of this highway. We were going to go north by way of Indio and Palm Springs instead on the 10. We were camping with 3 other Scout old parents, alumni of Scouting. These are 2 of the grown men that grew up with Zach. Discover Anza-Borrego. Welcome to Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, California's largest state park with over 600,000 acres to explore. From desert floor to mountain peaks, there are ample opportunities for discovery. Enjoyment awaits you, whether you choose an overlook or a hiking trail, summer or winter, day or night. Anza-Borrego is the place apart from the urban worlds over the horizon. Here you can find solitude, a quiet filled with the sounds of the natural world like wind, birds, a scurrying antelope squirrel. We heard coyotes, even the trickle of water. You can discover a history here as well, traces of many who have passed this way before, including native peoples, explorers, migrants, ranchers, scientists, dreamers, and artists. And there is the sky. This is the one of those increasingly rare places where you can enjoy the beauty of an immense natural nightscape, awash with countless brilliant stars. Anza-Borrego is there just above the Gulf, the Baja. It is basically the Grand Canyon's contents that separates us from the ocean. It's the big donut here. The city, the little Borrego Springs, is in the middle, and then the state park is the green all around. A place worth protecting. Incredible diversity awaits you here at Anza-Borrego Desert State Park if you only have time. Time to explore, time to stop, time to listen, time to watch. Powerful geologic forces are at work shaping the landscape, climate, life forms, and history of this unique place. May you recall the transformative power of wilderness and remember it survives now only through vigilance. Terry Tempest Williams. Anza-Borrego is named after Juan Bautista de Anza, a Spanish explorer, and the bighorn sheep known as Borrego. Our first outing as a group was to get the information to find the part of the park called the Slot Hike. But first we had to stop at these beautiful art pieces in the desert by Ricardo Braceta. Dragons, horses, birds. They're awesome. And they're across the prairie. Let me correct myself there. The meadow, Anza-Borrego Meadow. Here we are driving up to park at the hike known as the slot. And we have to pay for it if we haven't already at the visitor center, and then line up so that as people exit their parking lot, which is rather small up there, we can take their place. They don't want too many people inundating the hike. Simply named the slot, this narrow siltstone canyon provides one of the most exciting hikes in Anza-Borrego. Its 0.8 of a mile trek is capped off with a passage beneath a gravity-defying rock span. This short hike is just 100 feet of elevation loss, but the memory that you build there is just awesome. It lacks a defined trail marker, so you have to find like where it goes in just by looking at the tire marks in the dirt and then the graded trail that has been developed. And we got parked and we got our stuff carefully put away. And then because the beginning of the trail is not marked like go down here, you just kind of have to find it, we headed up the hillside and we're looking for like, okay, where does this apparent slot begin? And because we went up high and we would turn around and look out at the valley below us, we hiked up that mountain that's just beyond them there in the background. We could see what we had passed in our walk. We could see the slot out in the valley floor in front of us. So we worked our way back down, and you'll see that experience. Here we go. Lining up so that we can queue and take our turn for, or take the place of those who have come out of the little parking lot closest to the beginning of what is known as the slot. It only took about 10 minutes to wait while those that were already there were exiting, and we made our way up, and as you can see, most people have four-wheel drive vehicles up here, very few family vans, what have you, due to the sandy roads. And off we went to locate this marvelous walk that we were going to take in. And what blew my mind was this was like walking on a beach that I had just experienced the previous camp out. And so to learn that what once was Baja, Mexico, and the Grand Canyon Desert with these beautiful rock specimens and different grades of sand and flour, and it was just truly terrific. Where is it? Look at us up on these ridges looking around for this infamous slot. Oh, okay, wait. Let's try this.
116.
Aaron and Andrew, the boys, young men that were our Zach's age, ran like gazelles up the hill. And here we are, finally down in what is known as the slot. This is the shallower portion of it. Eric's pointing out the distinct, thin, different layers in the walls. Although the canyon is pretty flat, some small areas have more significant drops to step up and down on the hike. It is so incredible how much the temperatures can drop in the shade in the slot. On a hot day, apparently, the shade and the cool of this environment really is super nice to be a part of. At the end of the slot, you're going to see a tall rock that leans over the top of the canyon and bridges a narrow gap. We're supposed to be cautious about proceeding under that rock. And although it has been like this for years, natural markings and big bridges like that can change and close that slot. Then we're supposed to turn the corner, and then where we see it widens, we're supposed to turn around and head back to the parking lot area. There's no way out. It just keeps getting tighter and deeper. See remnants of your beach umbrella, Eric, from a previous life.
No, we're going down, down, down.
Oy.
There's more slots.
In and drank. He always had that tequila bottle.
Oh, okay. When we did our tasting? Yeah, I remember that.
That's why we try to spread it out.
I don't know.
We're doing it next year. We got just got to bite the bullet to do it.
Yeah.
What's in your hands?
Oh, nothing. Good stuff, Maynard. Ooh.
She likes to fire it, blow it out, then she goes to the other side and fires it, and then blows it out.
No, you're not supposed to have any fire. What? That was a down one.
Oh, okay.
I would. Oh, you mean just toasted brown?
Yeah, toasted brown.
And because this is a travel stitch journal, here is actually what I managed to stitch a little bit on. It is my Old School on the Prairie by Twin Peak Primitives. And I absolutely love doing it on my, I believe it's antique oatmeal Aida cloth. And the colors are just darling. I will insert a picture of how far I got. I also brought along my Tiny Modernist Halloween crystal ball, which is dying to get finished, and I'll get to it. Here's a little pic of what it looks like, but that's not mine. Strolling around the visitor center walk with a look at the various specimens in the desert with their little signposts. And there are some, boy, you want to make sure to keep kids away from. We got to go to dinner with our dear friends Tammy and Lonnie to Carmelito's Cantina and Grill and had a lovely meal. And of course, you know what we came back to the trailer to do. Make those delicious s'mores. Next morning, I was given the task of fueling up the truck. Doing all right, huh?
Huh?
Yeah, we're doing okay.
That's good. Nothing.
Nothing big to talk about here, but it is my first time fueling a diesel. Yes, yes. All right. Thank you, Borrego Springs. It's beautiful. So if I go around, oh, Mr. Motorcycles come in. I tell you, this is the most uninhabited place I've ever been to. Anyway, see you at home.
This morning out of Nashville, I get done.
I'm sorry if I'm making you sick filming outside the passenger window, but it was just so beautifully glorious. It must be perfect in the spring and especially the fall. Oh, wow. You gotta get busy. Man, oh man, cycling through the desert. And then up ahead, a beautiful view as we get closer to the Salton Sea, which I had always grown up hearing was a giant irrigation mistake. But we read an interesting article from a university symposium that tried to show that basically it was a lake. It was going to happen anyway. And the irrigation mistake just reawakened it, brought it back to life the way it actually should have been. Anyway, it's just that it had, in our human awareness, dried up. Thank you, Anza-Borrego. I trust that it'll be the first of many visits that we have with you there. It was just a beautiful, beautiful place to see. Transition with me now to my niece Monica and her beloved Martine's wedding day, which was November 20th at the Arboretum at the Cal State Fullerton Gardens. Although there was a sign that I was supposed to have my cell phone put away and turned off, I did grab this picture of my son-in-law walking in my niece, the bride's sister, and then my daughter coming in down the row. You can see my grandchildren here playing in the foreground. We were ready for a 2 o'clock wedding, but this was 2:30, so they were pretty used up sitting there in their chairs nice. We took a walk during the ceremony. This is, of course, Ev and her cousin Levi. We had great drinks, beautiful cake. My grandparents-in-law won the longest married. Yay for Martine and Monica. And here's why it's in my Stitch travel journal, because I created the Jason Yenter kaleidoscope quilt and the Stitchrovia Wedding Love Stitch. Transition with me, if you will, to the third and final chapter of this travel stitch video, and that is artichokes. My friend Sally Tyne uses the phrase okie dokie artichoke so often, and so many people are in our guild don't even know what it's like to prepare and eat an artichoke. So I took it upon myself to get a couple, wash them up, and get them in a pot like my 1950s teacher parents did back in the day, because I know there are so many other fancy pants ways to cook up the artichokes, but I just did it the easiest way that anybody could do. And as you can see, they are from Casterville. Casterville apparently grows 100% of the artichoke crops grown for grocer sale. They have to be hand-picked, and there's a cool history here. Artichokes are considered one of the world's oldest foods. They are native to the Mediterranean area and a member of the sunflower family. The ancestor of the artichoke is a North African thistle which still grows in the wild today. Artichokes were first harvested by people in the Middle East. The artichoke gained the most popularity in ancient Rome and Greece around 70 AD. Artichokes remained popular until the fall of the Roman Empire. It was not until the 1400s when they regained popularity in Florence, Italy. Their popularity spread, and by the 1500s they were being eaten throughout France. Artichokes originally came to the U.S. in the early 1800s when French immigrants started growing the vegetable in the Louisiana Territory. It wasn't until the early 1900s when the artichoke became a U.S. success. Italian immigrants in California started growing artichokes and selling them commercially. And as I said, California grows about almost 100% of the artichokes sold in the U.S. So some fun facts to remember. Castroville, California is known as the artichoke capital of the world. I believe before she was famous in 1947, Marilyn Monroe was the artichoke queen. A portion of the artichoke that we eat is actually a flower bud. Artichoke plants must grow for 1 year before the flower can be harvested. Artichokes are very delicate and must be picked by hand. The artichoke plant only produces artichokes for about 5 to 10 years. The artichoke plant grows to be 6 feet wide and about 3 to 4 feet tall, and artichoke plants are allowed to flower. The blossoms are 6 to 7 inches wide and a violet blue color, as I'll show you here at the end. I'm sure there are more uptown stylish ways to prepare your artichokes, as I've enjoyed in restaurants, but using a pot of hot water simmering for approximately 50 minutes, we had our completed artichokes, and I let them rest on my platter there for about an hour before I invited Eric out to join me. And we went to the tailgate of his truck and ate them outside with just barely not even a tablespoon of mayo on our plates. And so I'm going to try to show you how to eat them. The petals will start to get really thin, not like the outside toughies. And now just the meat staying there on the leaves breaking away. So that's when you can open it by squeezing it and pulling it apart. So the toughy leaves on the outside are called outer bracts, and then the soft inner bracts are the ones that start getting super thin and hard to pull away. And then the choke is the furry stuff in the middle, like what you'd consider the stamen of the flower. Then you've got the delicious heart, and of course the stem. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be confusing. What is the good stuff to eat, my parents would refer to as the meat. It's just the tasty stuff, the heart, that you're nibbling on. There's all the petals from the flower. You can clean the petals out. Known as the choke. The furry guys. And that's when I can eat this outer edge, because that's all that goodness. Eric's already on for the heart. Okay, got that one. And then do like Eric did with these guys. The compressed choke petals on top of the heart, you have to slice them off or pull them away. may seem like a bunch of silly work, but it is the best part. And this is when you taste the flavor in dips. This is what you're eating, this heart that's been mushed. Okay, then it's all cleaned off, all the petals. So good. You didn't eat the outside of your petals. Oh well. The edge right there.
I'm good. The nice thing is all this goes in the green waste bin.
Yep. Okay. I have eaten it down to the stem. Yeah. Thank you for joining me, Eric Johnson. Green waste is inside.
Okay, I gotta go through the house.
Okay.